Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Behind the Business podcast. I'm Stuart Cave, powered by EXP, and I'm joined today with Mark from the Kinetics Fight Academy. Mark, how are you doing?
I'm all right, thanks, Stuart. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm glad it's another day that we can get up and get active and get working. It's always good to be productive.
It is.
So tell me
Production is a measure of your morale, my friend.
That's it. And these things which you're going to share with us, I've already had about a good half an hour conversation with you, Mark, and I'm desperate for you to share some of these tidbits of insight and information because people really need to know a bit more about you, about your business, and really the wisdom and knowledge you have. So let's take a couple of minutes. Feel free to tell us a bit about you, the why, the business, and what you hope to achieve from it.
Okay. So I run Kinetics Fight Academy. We're down at the Birches Industrial Estate. I just have a passion for martial arts. Always have done since I was about 5 years old. Just trained martial arts my whole life. Traveling all around the world, America, China, Vietnam, Australia, learning martial arts. This was before the invention of YouTube. Yeah, and nowadays it's just continuously coaching and teaching beginners, kids, women, professional athletes.
The full spectrum.
Yeah, the full spectrum. We got guys that have got their very first lesson, guys that come down here just for a hobby, that they want to come once, twice a week and just keep a bit fit and do something different, down to guys that are trying to compete themselves up to the top of the game in mixed martial arts or jiu-jitsu or boxing, Muay Thai.
That's amazing. So you mentioned before YouTube, I know in today's world, if you want to learn something or understand something, people can just go online and, one quick search and you're there. Tell me a bit more about this journey you took. When did it first start? You said you started.
So when I was about 5 years old, I started judo. And then I used to compete for Kent because I used to live down in Thanet. And yeah, I got to I was one of the highest grades in the UK for my grades. So I got a black belt in judo as well. Yeah, and then from there I continued. My dad was really heavily into martial arts, so that's my inspiration. And yeah, he still trains even now. He was just over in Bali, and not long ago, last year, he was over in China, up in the mountains doing Tai Chi.
How old's your father?
I think he's in his 70s.
That's amazing.
So yeah, he's started training with some other chap at the moment. So I used to train in judo, and then was inspired by my dad, and then took up boxing and Muay Thai and Chinese martial arts. So I used to train in Wing Chun. So I used to go over and train in China with one of my masters there, who was a chap called Lung Gai. He was a student of the famous Ip Man, who you might have seen. There's a lot of movies out called Ip Man. Ip Man was Bruce Lee's instructor in Hong Kong before he came to China. Yeah, so I used to go and train with him all the time.
How did you find that experience?
Yeah, it was really nice, really good. Yeah.
Challenging?
No, exciting.
I can imagine it was. I mean, you're learning from, I guess, one of the greats, right?
He was definitely an inspirational chap.
So you've taken all this experience. I mean, this is hard work. You've put a lot of time and effort into learning, to mastering, into executing this martial arts library that you have, and now you've brought it here to East Grinstead, and you've opened up the academy.
Yeah. So I've been teaching martial arts since I was 18. So yeah, it's a long time. Right? That's shameful for my age. But yeah, so since I was 18. So I used to coach in Australia. When I was in Australia, I put the CQF, the Coast Court of Fighting, together for the SAS regiment over there. Oh. So yeah, I used to teach the tactical, the TRG, the Tactical Response Group, as well for the police, which were predominantly a lot of the part-time SAS as well. So yeah, I've been around teaching martial arts for a long time. I lived in Australia for quite a few years before I came back to the UK. I've been back in the UK now for about 15 years, 20 years, and I've been teaching martial arts since then as well. So I've been a professional full-time martial arts instructor since I was 18. I've never had another job.
It's literally the way of life.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And how are you finding being on, I guess, at the other end of the career now? So going from learning and, actually doing the things to actually teaching.
So when I was younger, my whole ethos was what I want to be the best I can be. I want to be able to be, yeah, it's all about me, selfish. Okay, so just selfish. I just wanted to be the best I could be. So therefore, I wanted to create and get as much knowledge or technology as possible to be able to achieve that. Right. So I would train all different types of martial arts: boxing, Muay Thai, Sanshao, Kung Fu, Jiu-Jitsu, Judo. So because I like the striking arts, but I also like the grappling arts. So I just trained, collected, travelled, and then would teach martial arts to basically have training partners and pay the bills to allow me to learn martial arts. So for instance, I got into art college when I was a kid. My mum says, "Oh, you're into art college." I was like, "Sorry, I can't go. I'm too busy training."
How did you take that?
Yeah, she was fine. So yeah, I've always put everything else behind martial arts. So therefore, over the years, we've attained some great information. You think when you look at a lot of martial arts academies or coaches, they've had full-time jobs, then they compete a little bit, or then they coach 2 or 3 times in the evening, but they're at work during the day, so they're not even doing any training themselves. So there's no improvement, there's no evolving, there's no progression. And then they'll tell you stories about when they were younger, but it's a dead end. It's okay for someone that wants to just potter around a little bit, but martial arts continue to evolve. I learn new information every week, even now. Every week, the competitive circuit changes. For instance, mixed martial arts is the fastest growing sport in the world. So it's never at a standstill. It's always shifting. So you've got to stay up with that. If you don't, then you end up.
It's the reputation.
You become obsolete.
Yeah.
So you always got to keep on top of it. So having such a passion about martial arts, I love to keep on top of it. It's what I do. I'm like, guys, check this out. Look what we've been doing.
I guess that's more than half the battle, really, isn't it? If your passion is there for this, and like you said, when you were younger, you constantly wanted to be at the top, the best in the game, and I think that drive and determination, coupled with the desire, it does,
yeah, 100%. So the way I used to teach, for instance, might not have been as good because I was more focused upon myself. But now that I'm older, my focus has become more on teaching and making other people better.
And I guess you can see when they're going through the routines, you can see potentially vulnerabilities or weak spots that they might have in their techniques and things. And you can help them with that.
Yeah, of course. So I would say that with anything, if you do less of it, your skill diminishes to a degree. So when you do more of it, so now my focus is on coaching. I would say that I'm the best teacher I've ever been at the moment, and hopefully that will increase as I.
And that's going to reflect on the students as well, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. And then we get a lot of positive feedback. So from a point of view of an academy, I mean, for mixed martial arts, we've got more competitive fighters than most academies in the UK or London. So you've got this academy here in East Grinstead that we've got. I mean, there's about, I'm not sure how many, but there's not that many guys in the UK that have my area of expertise in this chosen sport. So to have that in East Grinstead for the local communities,
I mean, that's unheard of. Deal. I mean, I've heard of the Fighting Academy before, but to know that it's that scale in terms, I mean, not talking like huge hundreds of people and fighters, but the depth of
the information and the knowledge and how far you can take it is immense.
I mean, that sounds like it's unparalleled really in the area, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
That's fun. Yeah, so if you're reaching out to the local community today and you're saying to children or parents who are thinking about getting their children involved in martial arts, or even before that, parents who are thinking about getting their children just a more healthy lifestyle, what would be the first thing you would say to them when they walk through the door here?
Hello.
Let's get started, right?
Hi. Probably ask their name as well.
Yeah.
What's
the expectation of from a parent's point of view?
Well, it depends upon the age of the child.
Yeah.
So, for instance, really, to be fair, when a kid's really young, it's just about creating the brain and the body coordination and the awareness.
So the mechanics of
yeah. So they could do that with any sport, really. They could do it with football, with gymnastics, with rugby, with golf, anything.
Yeah.
Just playing, just being physically active, climbing trees, whatever, because that's going to create that connection. So if they're young and they're coming here, really all we're doing is just
getting them moving,
and creating that coordination. So it doesn't have to be here, but if they're doing it here, then it's a little bit more specific that leads them to where they want to take.
Yeah.
If they want to continue with martial arts into the future. But yeah, as you get a little bit older, then we've got different programs or different classes. We got boxing, Muay Thai, or kickboxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or grappling, which is similar to judo, or mixed martial arts, where we put it together. So some of the kids will come and they'll say, "Do you know what? I really want to box, but I don't like being grappled." Or someone will say, "Oh, I really want to grapple, but I don't like being punched." Yeah. Some are like, "Oh, I like all of it," and they'll come and do all of it. So it's a real mixed hat.
And I guess there's a bit of a misconception between if, for example, a teenager was to come down here, they're probably thinking, "I don't want to get punched straight away. I don't want to be fighting. I don't want to get hurt straight away." That's, for me, that was my misconception. It was, if I go to a gym or come here, I don't want to fight with somebody straight away.
You won't be fighting anyone to start with. And if you are, it'll be really gently. So for instance, yesterday there was a new lad here and my son was here, so he didn't want to spar. He was like, "Oh no," and I said, "Well, look, Harry will go with you and just help you out." So then Harry was moving around nicely, pointing things out, letting him move, and he had a really lovely time.
Brilliant.
So it's a progression. You can't just bully someone into submission. You can't throw them in the deep end and go, "Go on." It's not like that at all. So there's progressions. So even if you're sparring, then the level of what you're doing, you might just take one movement out, like say a jab, or you might, if you're grappling, just look at one position, like say a closed guard, and then the guy that's with you, if they're more experienced, will then help you, because we have like a real nice sort of team ethos here, where I'll say to the guys, "Look, you've trained with me a long time. Can you help that person?" And they'll say, "Yeah, sure," because they had the same for them.
Yeah.
So then when that person's helped, then they'll realize how we have this nice community here, this nice team ethos. So then give it 3, 4, 5 years, and I'll say,
doing the same thing.
"Oh, look, can you just help this guy?" And there's no, "Oh, really?" They're like, "Yeah, sure." Because everyone helps each other. And that's how we operate down here. So you'll be in a class and you'll have someone who's its very first session. Then you'll have someone who maybe has been training 15 years. And everyone just helps each other out. And then in certain instances, I might separate it and say, "Right, you do that. Or, right, just grab someone." And
that must feel quite amazing to, I mean, people of varying levels and experiences, they come into a gym like this and they experience a level of community and oneness, that team ethos that you just touched upon, where you just feel a part of something and you have that respect and you have that mutual drive for...
Yeah, well, that's what we're all after, the same thing at the end of the day. And you're better off having it in a nice, friendly, fun environment, aren't you? Where you've got to make everything you do in life fun. If it's not fun,
there's no point in doing it.
Right, you don't want to do it. It's not even that there's no point doing it. You don't want to.
Yeah.
So you're now having to drag yourself to it because you're not enjoying it. So if you want to become good at martial arts, then you've got to enjoy the journey. If you're coming to somewhere that you don't enjoy, why do you want to come? Yeah. You don't. So then you're going to start creating excuses. So the whole thing, like when we're in this gym, is that it's all about having a really nice time. You want to come down, bit of banter, chat, say hi, maybe meet out later or something, create friends, have a nice time. And so at the end of the session, you're like, "Yeah, I learned something. Yeah, I've got a good workout, and yeah, I got to meet up with my mates." And then you're like, "Oh, I want to do it again. Oh, I want to do it again," rather than, "Oh, mate, that was horrible."
Yeah, and you're committed.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that. And it's interesting that you look at how that could, filter out into the community where this person goes out of work.
Filter into the community. So, for instance, because you've got people that come to do a martial art from all walks of life. You've got solicitors, policemen, you've got builders, electricians, roofers. So you've got such a vast area, plumbers, that you'll find that they start talking to each other. Oh, I've got a boiler that needs doing. Can you do the boiler? Or, oh, I've got some work going. Who needs a job? And so everyone in it starts helping each other out. So, for instance, yeah, like one of the lads, Mark's got two of the lads working now for him that he's giving jobs. Yeah, so Tom's got some of the lads that work for him, his roofing firm, that all are part of the gym. So yeah, and then Tom will use guys that are from the gym for, and so everyone just starts to help each other out, and it becomes a hub.
Yeah, that's it. And going out to the larger area of East Grinstead, I think since being here myself over the past 12 years, I've seen East Grinstead as a community come together on a lot of different things, especially through the pandemic, where a lot of the local businesses in town or wherever else, you know, these home businesses came together and were able to respond quite quickly and help each other out. And I found East Grinstead's got a unique characteristic in that, where people are willing to chip in and help and do those things. And, you know, specifically with the Fighting Academy here, you see, you know, I know a few of the guys who come here, and seeing how they conduct themselves when they're at work or when they're out and about. And it's probably a reflection on what they've learned here, or the discipline that they've gained from being here and learning. It's been quite an interesting experience that I've seen anyway. So,
well, martial arts has discipline. Yeah. I mean, yeah, discipline beats motivation, doesn't it? It can take you places that motivation can't. So it's a big thing in martial arts is discipline. But that's a self-discipline as well, really. And that's, you know, that discipline, I think, will help in all areas of life. It doesn't matter where it is, and that then will create that ethos of like that is just it's just martial arts as a whole. You have to be disciplined, because at the end of the day, you're learning to immobilize, hurt, or damage another human being.
Sure.
Right? And if you're breaking it back down to the core, so whether we want to call it self-defense or sport, but at the end of the day, it still is fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to learn to outmaneuver, outlever, use your
coordinate.
And coordinate, and basically remove another human being from the space that you want to occupy. So you have to be disciplined to be able to achieve that, because otherwise you'll just become not a nice guy, because your ego will eat into you. So here in this gym, we're very heavy on that, where we keep everyone in check. Yeah, so with the kids especially, because it's normally the youths that will elevate themselves past where they should. Yeah, because, you know, if you look at martial arts traditionally, like the instructors, like the Sifu in China, were always rewarded like the highest sort of respect of the village, because the martial arts club was basically the community police, because they were the security for the village.
Yeah.
But so when you step back and we talk about, you know, like going back in time before the technology, it was the attributes that ran the power. Like, oh, he's bigger, he's stronger, he rules. So actually, it's the geeks or the intelligent guys that then start to rule in everywhere in life, because they start understanding how to override power or strength with information.
Yeah.
And that's what we talk about, is the technology. So if you're looking at a youngster, as you give them a little bit of power, it can go to their head.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need an environment that keeps a control on it.
That's really interesting.
And and the same thing here. If you've got two guys and they're sparring really hard because they've got a competition coming up, well, it's very borderline to be in a fight.
Yeah.
So therefore, there has to be a level of respect within the gym.
So after a short break, we're back now with Mark, and we've just been talking a bit about the philosophy of the gym, how it's all come about, and the importance of having that respect here at the gym. So leaving your ego at the door and having that discipline, and basically enhancing the discipline that comes from having this wonderful place here where you can come and learn martial arts, where you can come and learn new techniques. But Mark, do you want to tell us a bit more about what you actually have here, and everything else that you can provide for this.
Yeah,
this area.
sure. So we're a modern environment. It's a contemporary environment, but everything's underpinned by traditional values. So it makes it great in today's environment. So I mean, we have kids classes, we have youngsters, and then we have the youths. We have boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, grappling or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, mixed martial arts. So all these different sports now that are having a great impact in today's sort of martial arts or combative circles. Then we have women's classes, women's kickboxing classes. We've got a heavy influence on the fitness as well with the cardio, etc. Those classes, the ladies love it. Great fun. Yeah, we have the adults classes, and when I say adults, you got guys that are 16 right up to 55. You know, and so it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm too old to do this anymore.
If you want to, you can.
If you want to, you can. 100%. And you can fit. You know how your body works. So if there's something that's a little bit too much, then we just change the exercise for you. So we've got boxing again for the adults, Muay Thai, so the 8 limbs of Thailand. We've got Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is all the groundwork, the grappling and the wrestling. Then we have the mixed martial arts, which is when you see everyone competing in UFC and Bellator and things these days.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, I do private training and all of that as well. We have private training for the kids as well, which some of the parents get into with their children.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so we've got something to offer everyone. The atmosphere down here is really friendly, really fun,
and it's a great.
Really
I guess it's a great supplement to, if parents are looking for something different and which is going to supplement the children in terms of learning and exercising and also building that discipline which we talked about. This is a great space to come and do it in. Which is
perfect. It builds kids' confidence because I would say one of the main reasons people don't. One of the main reasons that over the years I hear people say, "Oh, the reason I started," is usually through lack of confidence. So you think about it, they say, "Oh, I wanted to be able to defend myself," or "I wanted to be fitter," or "Oh, I didn't like the way I looked," and this normally all comes back down to sort of an insecurity. So normally you'll find that pretty much, therefore, most reasons come back down to insecurities. So everyone thinks that everyone's tough, or no, most people are here because they were insecure in the first place.
And they want to build and develop.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
So, Mark, I really appreciate your time. It's been fantastic and it's quite insightful. And I hope everyone who's watching can see the insight that in the wisdom that Mark shared with us. And if you are interested, and we hope you are, feel free to come down, Mark. You've got plenty of classes. I'm sure there'll be a phone call or two where you can actually help people and arrange some times for them.
Yeah, 100%. Give us a call, drop us an email.
And we'll leave the links below.
Yeah.
They can contact you on.
Perfect.
Great stuff.
Thanks, man. Cheers.